Thank you for watching the Atkinson Gazette. I'm your host, Michael Boucher. I participated in a Zoom meeting with John Ottow, co-chair of the Planning Board and a member of the Master Plan Committee. John provided a presentation of the Master Plan and explained how the Master Plan will be used to develop Atkinson's future. Hi everyone, this is Michael Boucher for the Atkinson Gazette, and I am here on Zoom with John Ottow. John is a member of the Planning Board, and he's also the co-chair of the Master Planning Committee. Hi, John. How are you today?
Michael, I'm great. We got a nice sunny day to work with here, and a nice winter day, and I'm looking forward to this interview.
I don't recall the Master Planning Committee being something that the voters have voted for. So where did the Master Planning Committee come from?
Well, I'm going to jump to the next slide, because on this slide we have the members of our committee, and the first person I want to mention is Karen McFadden, who's co-chair. Little more than 2 years ago, when she was an alternate on the planning board, she proposed the concept of a master plan. And it was a good concept, and the planning board bought into it, rightfully so. And there was a warrant article just shy of 2 years ago to approve money to hire a consultant to help us do the master plan. So the planning board started this whole process. The planning board then put out a call for members, community members, to form the committee. And you'll see that here's our committee. We have Karen McFadden. You see my mouse here, right here. And like I said, she's been a driving force continually for the last 2 years on this. And one thing I want to mention is there's been a lot of work by this committee. Over the nearly 2 years, we're meeting at least twice a month to formulate the plan. We have Kenneth Grant over here. Kenneth his involvement in the town has really been legendary. And he's been doing so many things over the years. And we've been very fortunate to have him join the committee, because his historical background to the town is positively amazing. Over here we have Noriko Yoshida Travers, and as pretty much everybody in town knows, that she heads the recreation department. And it's been key to have her on the committee. I mean, the things that she does and the input she was given has been absolutely priceless. Here we have Ann Brenton, and Ann is part of the cemetery commission. As you know, she has involvement all over the place in town. She's been a driving force and helped with a lot of many things. And I'll go back to Kate over here, and Kate is head of the I'm going to hopefully get this right, historical commission, and she always pushed to have the history and its importance in the town be part of the plan, rightfully so. And she's been a very valuable member of the committee. And then over on the left here we have Sue Capetta, who is the administrator for the land use office, which is both the planning board and the zoning board of appeals, and also the building inspector. So her background knowledge in zoning and everything has really helped through the process. And then way over here, you're going to see Ellen Murphy. She was on the committee for the first year. She had other commitments, so she had to get off. But I don't want to leave her out, because she also is very important in the whole committee.
Thank you for introducing us to everyone who's on the committee. They sound like they've been providing very valuable input towards the development of the master plan.
Here's the first thing that we did as a committee. I mean, this might sound trivial to people who are not in marketing, but we had people on our committee that came from a marketing background. So the first thing they wanted to do is create a brand. So this is our brand. What's next, Atkinson? Help shape our master plan. And if you've had your eyes open in Atkinson the last 2 years, you've seen this image and this brand all over town. We've had it everywhere. And we made it a point to always have it the same. So when people see this, they think master plan. And this is also an example of how the master plan is really a community effort from day one, since day one. And for example, we had a professional photographer, and I get her name, Valerie Schroeder, Strada, I hopefully got that pronounced right. She's a professional photographer. She donated her time to take the picture, and she was really good. And she worked with Trish Flahive and her two children, Sophie and Quinn, to stage it in front of the town hall. And as part of the community effort, Bill Sherwood did the graphics for us. And this was personally very fun for me, is we interviewed students at the Atkinson Academy. And I interviewed, I think it was 2nd through 5th grade. And here's the 5th grade students. And it was really just fun to see what they thought about the town and what they thought about was good about the town, what they thought good about their school and what they thought their school should do, and also where the town should be going. When we documented what they thought about the master plan and where the town should be going, there was a lot of similarity what adults thought it should be. So this was not only fun, it was very informative.
Yeah, I remember seeing in, I think it was the 3rd graders when they had the I think it was the first like community forum back in spring of 2023, and I was very surprised at how insightful they were about the future of the town and whatnot. You would think, oh, they're kids, they don't worry about this kind of stuff, but apparently they've been thinking critically about it for a while, and it was just a matter of somebody asking them what they thought.
One of the things that stuck out for me, Michael, was they in several grades, they had this thought that there should be more opportunities for people with disabilities. And I thought that was really insightful because these were very high performing kids, and yet they were concerned about people that were less fortunate. And part of that has come true because as you know, the Conservation Commission are building an accessibility trail. So that's an example of what the kids were asking for a year ago. Now it's coming to fruition. So now the first deliverable that came out of our work was the existing conditions report. And this was pretty much the work of our consultants, Resilience Planning and Design out of Plymouth, where they went and interviewed all the different departments in town, and the library and the selectmen, everybody. They interviewed everybody and came up with what we can describe as the existing conditions in the year 2023. And if you read that report, again, which is well over 100 pages, it'll tell you everything you wanted to know about the town. It's a great document. This will be an appendix in the plan because the whole plan is going to be hundreds and hundreds of pages. So this will be a part of an appendix of what we're doing.
What are some of the existing conditions that really kind of stuck out throughout many of these different areas within town?
Well, one of them that is true to my heart is the library. I mean, I read the entire library report. I'll be honest, I didn't read them all word for word, but I did read the library one, which was done very early. And they talked about all the different programs they have at the library and the challenges they have. And it was, but learning about all the different programs they had, where, like I said, I'm a relative newcomer to town, only being here 5 years. I learned out about the movies on Tuesday, the movies that they do on Tuesday morning, and why they changed hours so they have more time on Saturday and less time on Friday, and this was all, or I should say, more time every day during the week. They open earlier now, and you learn why these things happened, and like I said, the library is kind of near to my heart, but I learned a lot through the whole process about the other departments. Now, you remember the Master Plan Community Forum in April. I remember seeing you.
I do. I remember being a part of that.
Yeah, well, this is our graphic. You'll see our brand on there. And there was just one form of the community outreach we had. We knew from day one that we had to involve the community. We had to bring them in because this was not a plan for the 8 members or 7 members of the Master Plan Committee or the planning board. This was a plan for the town. So we had multiple events. We had the community forum in April, which you were at. We had over 100 attendees. We had a survey, and either it was by paper, you could go into the library and get a copy of it, or town hall, or you could fill it out online. And we had well over 400 people fill out the survey. And that is rich with information about what's going on in town. Those the surveys, there was a lot of open-ended questions, and there's a lot of narrative there about what people like about the town, what they don't like about the town, what they want to see more of, what they don't want to see as much of. We really felt like we were creating a plan that was representative of what the town wants. And next, we had focus groups. We had one on recreation, where we talked about recreation, what we could do better, and what the recreation department could do better, and all they do provide. And that was insightful. And then we had the housing one in September, where we had our consultant come in, and this is over at the community center. And we had, I want to say 40 or more people show up there. And we talked about housing needs and where housing should be going in town. And that also was very insightful, and that'll be part of the plan. Okay, and here's a picture from the focus group. And the next big deliverable was this housing engagement report, like I said, and it is online. So anybody can go out there and you can read every single comment. Of course, all the comments are anonymous, but you read through it, and some of the themes come through loud and clear. And it's really fascinating to read it. I think what you're looking at here is people putting down what is their one wish for Atkinson here. And then the next big deliverable was the vision statement and the goals. I'm not going to read this, but I can tell you again, what came through loud and clear is people want the town pretty much to stay the way it is. People love Atkinson. They want to retain its rural character. They want to be a primarily residential community. And the plan reflects that. We came up with 6 goals and dozens of objectives and scores of action items. And the goals are on the webpage, so you can see them. But again, the first one is retaining rural character. We have a goal related to conservation, surface and groundwater, municipal facility needs. This goal 5, I thought was kind of really telling. It's about a sense of community. How can we all kind of come together as a community, and the things we do and the things we could be doing for growing community engagement. And because Atkinson, as you know, Atkinson has a challenge because we don't have a real true town center where we all get together and go to the grocery store together or anything like that. So building a sense of community in a town like Atkinson has its own challenges. So I do believe we address those in the plan. And the last one, which is very vital, is to use the master plan to guide the town.
As I was mentioning before, during that housing focus group,
yes,
like I said, I think the overall message was goal number 1, which is retain Atkinson's rural character.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was very surprised to hear that, knowing that a lot of people in town talk about, the challenges with housing, affordable housing in particular. And maybe the plan, the broader or bigger plan, the over 100 pages, explains this, how we can get around this issue. But it seems that being able to create, proper or affordable housing and also trying to retain Atkinson's rural character might actually conflict with each other. I'm not sure, but
absolutely. As a member of the planning board, I'd be happy to speak for just a moment. The planning board is aware of this. I mean, we hear all the time, but there's a couple major issues. One is it's hard for young people to move into town, or as people, Atkinson community members, as they grow up, they almost have to move away in order to afford a place to live. So the planning board is addressing this, and one of the first steps is what we call accessory dwelling units, or back in the old day, they used to call them mother-in-law apartments. But anyway, it's a way of putting another dwelling unit onto your house. And we currently have that in Atkinson. And that's taking place all over. I mean, almost every month, the planning board addresses somebody else who wants to put an accessory dwelling unit on their house. And pretty much they go unnoticed in the neighborhood. I mean, because they're very well done. But planning board is looking at that, and expect to see something about that in the coming warrant, where we're trying to make that just a little more adaptable for families who want to stay in Atkinson. Or actually, not only for people who want to stay in Atkinson. We addressed an accessory dwelling unit just a few months ago where a person they wanted to downsize. And how do you downsize and stay in Atkinson? It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
So they put an accessory dwelling unit on the back of their house. They were going to move into it, and a family member was going to move into the bigger house. Well, this is a way of addressing the housing, like you were talking about, Michael. And so again, without saying too much about it, be aware that there may be something on the town warrant coming up.
Okay. I have another question.
Yes.
For goal 3 there, right? We want to protect the quality of
Yes.
Atkinson's surface and groundwater resources. What brought about that goal? I mean, was there a particular concern that people had in mind? Was there any incident that occurred in town that had people have the forethought of their minds?
There hadn't been an incident, as I'm aware of, even though I should take that back. There are parts of town that the groundwater is unusable because there's been pollutants put into the water, and that's public knowledge. Everybody knows that. So it's like, how do you keep that from getting worse? That's an issue. But that wasn't brought up at the as part of the outreach engagement report. We just put a blanket question out there. What are concerns about the town and water and stuff like that? And a lot of people thought drought was an issue. Pollution was another issue. And there's a great concern, as you know, about I'm going to call it a privately owned public utility in Hampstead Area Water Company. So there's concern about those issues. And we met as a committee. We met with the Water Resources Committee. Hopefully I got that name right. And we talked about their issues. And since then they came up with a very nice report and plans that we incorporated in the master plan. So it's as you know, Michael, water is the ultimate resource. So everybody wants to protect their water.
All right. Last question about these goals.
Yes.
Goal number 5.
Yes.
Well, we're trying to encourage the interconnectedness and sense of community throughout Atkinson, right? And as you mentioned, there isn't really a central place like you might have in other communities. Though I think many people would probably consider either the community center or maybe the library would probably be our best options. Was there any discussion about what a future commonplace might look like in Atkinson, if that was maybe something people discussed or mentioned in their surveys?
Well, there was talk about the community. So when we talked about recreation, we did talk about the future of the community center. And one of our selectmen was at that meeting, and he talked about plans that were involved there. So having the community center expand would certainly help with that goal number 5. But what we talked about a lot was the events that are in town, and how they've been well received and well remembered. I mean, continually we heard from people talk about the anniversary of the town, that event that took place. Let me see, what year would that be? That would be, let's see, 1767. So that would be 2017.
Yeah.
So that big event that took place, the 250th anniversary, and what a rich thing that was. So the thoughts about how we could kind of bring some of that richness back was out there. And so we can't do those things as a committee, but we can bring an attention to people, and so it's part of the plan. So hopefully more of that will take place. Okay, we're just about done here, Michael, with what I have anyway. Here's the website, and you can see the different things that are on the website. You have the existing conditions report, goals and objectives. You have the outreach and engagement report. So by going to the master plan website, from the town website, you can access everything I've been talking about. What's next? Right now, our consultant is writing the narrative for the report, and they call it the plan, but we just call it the narrative because, as far as I'm concerned, we've done all the hard work for the plan. The plan will be finalized in January. Edits will be made by the Master Plan Committee, and in February it goes to the Planning Board, and they'll be having public hearings, and they'll adopt the plan. At that point, we'll share it with the selectmen and other committees in town. And but we're hoping also that there'll be an ongoing committee. Maybe it'll be people in the current Master Plan Committee, maybe not, to see that the master plan is adhered to and followed going forward. Because I mean, you might have been involved in other strategic planning in your life, but oftentimes plans are elaborate and they're created and everything else, and they just go up on a shelf and nobody ever refers to them. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that's not the case with this current master plan.
In particular, to the public hearing, would that March hearing happen before or after the election?
It'll be after the election, and I want to express that we paid no attention to the election as we laid this out. Our hope originally was to present to the planning board in November or December. So there were some parts, especially over the last month when we've been going through the action items, the goals and objectives, that we paused and we said, and it took us a little longer to go through them. Our consultant would say, "You're going to have this information to us." We'd say, No. We're still working through it. So we met sometimes 3 or more times a month just to go through these things to make sure they were done and done well.
One more question about the public hearing. What should we expect at the hearing?
Okay, by the time we get to the adoption, by the time we get to the public hearing, the plan is going to be in the hands of the planning board. So, and they'll be doing the public hearing. I mean, as members of the committee, we'll be there to answer questions, but it's really going to be in the hands of the planning board. Our expectation is that people will have questions and maybe even good constructive criticism about the plan. It's not final yet. The planning board could still make adaptations to the plan. So, like I've been saying from day one, there's community involvement, and the community involvement will be there up until the very end. Recently at the planning board, they talked about what is this committee going to be doing in the future? And because they said, first of all, we're going to help during January and February, we're going to help the planning board, but our commission is over at the end of the year. We're no longer a committee at the end of January. So I do believe the planning board is going to ask us to re-up for at least a couple months, but that's not the end. I mean, we have pretty much everybody sitting at this table has a long-term commitment to the town, and they're just going to be refocusing what they do. So I expect you'll see somebody on this table here on the master plan, I can't remember the name, the making sure it takes place and is followed in the future. Mm-hmm. But everybody here, I mean, these are people that are deeply involved in the town and care deeply for the town, not only today, but in the future. So, I can't say enough about what a pleasure it has been to work with these people.
That's great to hear. And I mean, yeah, and I could totally understand, or I could see a lot of these members going to like their, I guess, respective committees or other aspects of town that they, volunteer their time for, and be able to help execute aspects of the master plan. So it's good to have everyone who's in the master plan committee involved.
A town like Atkinson does not exist without volunteers. You know that. I mean, and these people have been volunteers and they've given a lot of time. So it's, they should, I hope if you know any of these people, you have a chance to thank them for the hard work that they've done.
Did you have any more slides to share?
No, that's it. That's it, Michael. I hopefully I didn't bore you with the slides too badly.
No, no, you didn't bore me. I think this is very informative, and I'm glad you were able to provide this presentation for everyone in the community, because I mean this is definitely something that everyone should be aware of, especially since the plan is going to help guide, if you will, the development and growth of the town for the next 10 years. So
Yeah.
people need to know this. Um, I will take a step back from Master Plan Committee, and I wanted to ask you about your involvement with the Planning Board. Now, I know you're a current member of the Planning Board. How long have you been on the Planning Board?
Back 5 years ago, a little more than 5 years ago, when I moved to town, I went in the clerk's office and I asked them, I said, I want to be involved in town government. And they said, great, just go out in the lobby, grab this form and fill it out. So I did just that. I filled out, I chose the planning board. And one of the reasons being is I've had a history working in zoning and planning in the past. I mean, in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, I lived in Massachusetts on the Cape, and I was involved in zoning down in town of Chatham, Massachusetts. And then when I moved to, this is not a slip of the tongue, Michael. When I moved to Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, yeah, I was involved in the zoning board of appeals there. So, and I just find it interesting. I mean, I'm not a planning geek, but I just do find, I understand that zoning really shapes a town, and it's sometimes, like in the school board, sometimes these things are kind of thankless, but still somebody has to do it. So I for 3 years I was a alternate on the planning board, and then 2 years ago I was appointed, and last year I was elected to the planning board.
The planning committee will be essentially taking a hiatus for at the very least sometime in January. Assuming that a new master planning committee will be formed, will the planning board announce, any opportunities for other people to be able to participate, to see how that's executed, or are they going to wait until, for example, the select board is looking at the master plan, looking to adopt it? I mean, how is this going to happen?
Well, I don't know exactly. I can only guess what the planning board is going to do. It's a plan implementation committee. There's a call for it as part of the plan. Will that be adopted by the planning board? I assume so, but I can only guess it will be. And at that point, I know they've been introduced to the concept at the last planning board meeting. I expect that they're going to put a call out, and hopefully it'll be people that are part of the everyday workings of the town. Not only the volunteers, there'll also be some professionals on there. Possibly department heads or something like that will at least be part of the committee, so they know what the plan is calling for. So as they progress in the future, they'll be able to make it happen, or at least find a way to maybe see if that's a viable goal. So I can guess that the planning board is going to put a call out, just like they did for the master plan committee, for an implementation committee, and people will have an opportunity to react to that.
For everyone who's watching, I mean, you now have all the information for the master plan. If you missed anything or you want to look at all the details, you need to go to the town website, and you'll be able to find the links there. And keep in mind that, once you've read all that information, there's going to be an opportunity to possibly be part of the next master plan committee, or at least the committee that will execute the master plan. And John, thank you very much for speaking with me. I'm very much pleased by the fact that you volunteered your time ever since you've been in town, and I think it's very encouraging to other individuals who are looking to get involved as well, that they can do some great things for this town, and your work on the master plan definitely reflects that. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a lot of work, but it's been very rewarding work, and like I said previously, I think the plan is very reflective of the community, and I hope that I expect that the community is going to be well received by the community.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. And I guess before we go, should is the town of Atkinson going to see you later on in the future helping out with town, or we could continue seeing you on the planning board or anywhere else?
I expect so. First of all, like I said, I believe that the town needs volunteers to work, and I've been involved with the planning board. I expect that will continue. I think with all these 2 or 3 or more meetings a month that I've been going to for the master plan committee, when those are over with, it's going to leave a bit of a void in my life. So I expect I'll be doing something in the future. I've been asked to run for office by several people, and who knows? We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, great. Well, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
John, thanks. Thank you once again for speaking with me rather, and providing a presentation of the master plan, or master plan committee, I should say.
Yeah, you're most welcome, Michael. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
The Atkinson Gazette is an independently produced program delivering information, interviews, and events in and around Atkinson. For more information about this program, you can go to facebook.com/Atkinson Gazette, or you can find this clip and many other clips on YouTube at Atkinson Gazette.